So it was our sophomore year. Both my roommates were RAs, but all the freshmen thought I was an RA because I was in the same room as them. So I bossed all the freshmen around. It was guys' dorm, and so they'd be like, "Hey, Jake, can I do this? No, you can't do that. Dang it!" And then my roommates would be like, "What? Why'd you tell them that?" So, but I do have empathy for, hey, why did you decide to streak? We need to have a conversation about that. Like, I have empathy for these awkward conversations that you can find yourselves in. Or this was many moons ago, but the master key, because our dorm was literally the men's side and the women's side, was split by a wall. Because it used to be one gender for the whole dorm, and then they decided to have men on one side, women on the other side. So it was just a wall, but the master key opened all of the locks in the entire on both sides. And so some of the freshmen got a hold of the key and the power was on our side of the building side. So they cut the power of the whole building and did this like recon middle of the night, went in and turned on all the lights, turned on all the stereos, turned everything up to full blast and on the girls' side, and then snuck back over and turned the power back on. And so they woke up at like 2 in the morning. Everything in their room just starts going off and all that kind of stuff, which the guys thought was hysterical. Uh, but I think a few guys got suspended because it's like, hey, that's not cool. You can't just like let yourself in other people's rooms. So anyhow, I have empathy for the position you find yourself in, but has nothing to do with our topic today necessarily. So professional development in my role in career services, I've been in the professional world quite a bit, have done professional development kinds of stuff. So I have empathy for that as well. But give me some feedback. What is your understanding? I have an understanding of why you are here to learn about professional development, but what is your understanding of why you're here to learn about professional development? Why are you here? Besides Josh told you had to be here.
To be better equipped for when our residents ask those questions.
Okay, all right. What else? Okay, great. All right. And then my understanding is that you guys will be providing like training for your residents, right? So some of this is like a workshopping, like how am I going to do this when we're like switching roles and now you're standing in front of your residents and like here's the 5 things you need to know about fill in the blank. Is that also kind of okay? Good. So the like how do I transfer this into a professional or what kinds of things like those things are going to be kind of the osmosis. You'll pick those up as we go through it. But the primary thing I'll focus on is how do I give you guys skills and time to think about, oh, you are going to be doing professional development for your residents. So how do I help equip you is kind of the focus in the time that we have together. So let's start with a question. Ponder for a moment on your own and then turn to a person next to you and verbally process what was a most recent, most valuable, you could go with recent or valuable new skill that you learned. Ready, set, go.
Well, I tried Valley to be. Yeah. I'd say as far as skills, I didn't go that guys and those lessons. But I'd say I got some. First hand experience. I guess I use it a little bit about to communicate
About 30 more seconds. Make sure everybody's had a chance to share 30 more seconds.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, let's bring the focus back up here. All right, what were some of the examples? You can share your own, or you can share what you heard, of an example of a new skill that was learned. What do you guys like about it?
Setting boundaries and being comfortable with them, because I always feel bad setting boundaries, and I'm just like, oh, what if they need something, what if they're like in trouble or something like that, because I'm so empathetic towards people. But one of my residents has really helped me be comfortable with having the boundaries. I'm just like, okay, seriously, these are set for a reason, and being okay with that.
Great. Okay. Very useful skill. Other examples that you guys heard? Who else? Go ahead.
Pato said cooking.
Cooking, like
Yeah.
cooking anything. Cooking something specific. What did you learn to cook?
I started cooking like cloud because I stay here during the break. There's close. And I didn't have the money to go out.
Yeah.
That was good, so I started cooking myself.
So this is a fresh skill. This is like a brand new thing so what's your thing that you're best at cooking at right now?
Cereal,
There. Yeah. Yeah.
I would say.
You got to put the cereal in, then the milk.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Yeah. Anyhow.
I would say maybe pasta
Mm.
or or rice with meat. I don't know. So
Okay. Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Other example.
We talked about patience, big one that.
Okay. You've heard the phrase "never pray for patience." Do you know why? If you pray for patience, the only way to gain patience is more practice at being patient. So don't pray for that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry. Was there more? Did I cut you off?
Jace really talked about like patience with like driving. It's just like being knowing people drive at their own speed and
Okay.
but something I've really been working on here lately is just patience with other people. Like I want X, Y, and Z to happen, but if it doesn't happen, and people need more time to do X, Y, or Z, it's just having patience with them
Yeah.
that know that nobody's on the same timeline. So
Okay.
We talked similarly kind of about boundaries and understanding like when to take time to yourself and that being a new skill. And then I also talked about I learned last semester some communication about within teams and kind of how to communicate and cater to people's needs, and even more about that today. But last semester I learned some more of that on how to communicate better to people and teams.
Okay. So with that, as you're pondering like, oh, this was a new skill I had to learn, and everybody had something that you talked about, whether it was I learned how to make cereal, to I learned how to set boundaries, like things that'll help you for the rest of your life, essential or maybe non-essential kinds of skills. And then you also talked about how you maybe are going through the process. I'm doing this, I tried this new thing in your conversation, right? That came up automatically. Why? Why did you embark on this journey of learning the new skill? It's not as complicated as it maybe sounds. But what did you hear? What did you feel? Did you put your hand up or are you scratching your ear?
No, that's good to me.
Okay, well, you can take answer first.
It's like, it's for like the betterment of like the future, because like now we go forward having a new skill, knowing more, having more knowledge.
So inside you, it was like, this could be good. I should learn how to do that. Is that kind of what it was? Okay, another thought?
That's what we have to show. Like, skill side is definitely going to be sticking with us for the rest of our careers and the rest of our lives, whatever we're going to do. And so now that we have this position, we have this experience, we can also put on paper that we have this experience. And so no matter where we go, we're already going to be seen as leadership because we have this experience already. Because doing this, we learn so very much on this job that we can help with people, with skills, with helping other things, organizational, everything.
Okay, so you're going, wow, this is really stretching me, and I know that this is going to help me.
Mine was a lot more out of necessity. In order to pass this class, my group needed to communicate to finish the stuff.
Okay,
And so I was like, hey, I'll make this happen.
if I don't do this, we're going to fail.
I feel like certain skills based on things that there's something like self-awareness. Realize you're lacking within yourself, so you learn self-awareness.
Yeah, yeah. So, go ahead, one more.
I was just gonna say, kind of like to piggyback on Braden, like mine was the driving. Like
I don't need to drive, but it's a pretty important thing to do, so.
Yeah. To stay in control of your emotions while you drive is probably a good life skill.
It's an old lady, to get back to her cats.
All right, so the need to learn a new skill, it happens to us all the time. Often it happens from pain. This can't stay like this, right? Self-betterment, or sometimes it happens because we are people who we're setting goals and directions, and I'm trying to get from here to there, and I can see that gap of where I am, so I need to learn where I'm going to go. So one of the key ideas of professional development is know why. Why is this important? And if it's not important to the people, to your residents, when you pull them together, if you can't find that thing that makes it intrinsically important to them, then, and I'm sure you guys are used to this, it's like, why am I here? I've got better things to do with my time. I've already checked out. I'm someplace else. So as you're pondering your professional development, what is it that they need and why is it important to them? So knowing the why behind it. And we do this all the time automatically, but because it's automatic, sometimes we don't stop to think about it. So for your residents, what's the number one, we're going to go back to your partners. What's the number one thing you think your students need to learn for this spring semester? And I think it's January actually, right? Is your professional development. So this month, what's the number one thing you think your residents need to learn? Go ahead, share for a little bit.
Fall direction.
Yeah.
That's what this is. I think it's better on all of them being so, because I just think like, oh, that's your adult. Yeah. Let's see that. And the regular season all be. Understanding how to like make it even sacrifices. Unless yeah, I got you.
10 more seconds, 10 more seconds.
Exactly.
Okay, let's pull it back together. All right, we're just gonna popcorn what we're just like 1 word, 2 words. What's the topic that you feel like is the number one need for your students? Go ahead. Time management. What else?
Sorry, I would say like that transition to adult eating.
Okay, preparing, like becoming more, would you say becoming more accountable or more responsible? Okay,
Comfortable being uncomfortable.
okay, getting uncomfortable and being okay with that. What else?
Never too late to start.
Never too late to start. Okay,
Sorry.
never too early.
Well,
Never too late to start. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, you said that right. Any other, go ahead,
Margin.
margin. So like almost like the boundaries, like you need to make space for yourself. Okay, all right. So how do you know, and we don't necessarily, just in the interest of time, some of these questions are more internal for you to process. How did you know this is something they needed? What's your evidence for, oh, this is the most important thing? Because that was the question, like what's the most important thing is coming up in January? What's the evidence? And my guess is that in your experience as an RA, you're seeing those gaps. You're seeing the breakdowns. And probably as an RA, it's causing you problems. If my residents would only learn better margin, or if my residents would only understand it's not too late to start, if only my residents would, my life would be easier, right? So as you're thinking about your topic for January, make sure that it's also obvious to your residents. Because if you're setting yourself up for, this is important to me, and you're going to make my life easier by sitting down and learning X, Y, Z, you could do it, you know, you'd be like, hey, we're gonna do this for an hour and we're just gonna muscle through this sucker and you're gonna pay attention. Like you can go down that road, but is the learning gonna stick? Maybe. I don't know. But if you are picking something that is obvious to them as well, then you're already now they're like leaning in because I need this solved in my life. Okay. So the evidence of why it's important, whose perspective is that? And then do you have any way to know if it's gotten better? Some of these things maybe you have like, okay, there, and I'm a little bit ignorant of how the system works here at Friends, but it's like if there's tickets or incidents or something, you know, you're tracking different things, right? So there might be the actual like, hey, we had the X number of times we had to pull students aside for this, or that, you know, this many times they came in and I had, you might actually have some evidence, but do you have a way of letting yourself know, and more importantly, letting your residents know that they're succeeding? Who in the room is familiar with SMART goals? Heard of those? Anybody remember what SMART stands for? Naomi, do you remember?
Measurable.
Yeah,
Thought. Estimate. There you go.
achievable. The R always messes with me. Anybody remember what the R is? SMART.
Realistic.
Real or relevant. And yeah, because I went to realistic also. I had actually Googled it before I came upstairs. They're like, was it I thought it was really, no, it's relevant and time bound. So write that down, log that somewhere in, if you're thinking about your professional development, a SMART goal. If you're prepared with the goal in mind, hey, resident, we are going to learn how to become more patient. And here's what this is going to look like. Here's how you can actually execute this. All right, in your cooking, tell me again your name. Patricio?
Yeah, they call me Pat.
Pat. You had some very like quick evidence. I succeeded in making my rice and meat dish, or I failed. I succeeded in making my pasta dish, or I failed because your mouth was like, this is disgusting, but it's the only food I have, so I'm going to eat it anyway. Or you're like, delicious, this is amazing, I loved it, right?
Thank God the first one didn't happen.
Yeah. So it's same thing. So if you're going to do a professional development, there should be some way to measure progress. And as some of these topics are like become more adult, like how would you measure that? How do you make that time bound? So you're gonna have to break this down into something practical. That what's a subset of what that looks like, and how would you help them navigate that? Or it could just be a simple like, hey, we're gonna practice patience by the way we share the laundry machines. Right? We're going to practice patience by the way we're doing X, Y, Z that everybody has to do in the dorm anyhow. Right? Almost like anybody seen Karate Kid, any version of the Karate Kid? I love that movie. It's my favorite analogy. Daniel wants to learn karate. He has a need, right? Because he's getting his butt kicked. And Mr. Miyagi kicks the bad guy's butts and he's like, teach me how to do that so I don't get my butt kicked anymore. And she's like, sure, why don't you paint my fence and wax my car? And that's all he does, wax on, wax off forever. And he just gets angry. He's like, why are you doing this to me? You're supposed to teach me karate. Yeah, I am. And he starts throwing punches and it's all ingrained, right? So find your paint the fence, wax the car that leads them to becoming more adult, right? Leads them to becoming more patient, and find a way that's engaging. So that's the last part. Quick practice. You could, and this is something where we won't have a ton of time together with me in here, but I know Josh has some time planned for actually brainstorming this. But there's a lot of ways you could do this practically. You could do, what are some ideas of different kinds of learning that you've done that you're like, oh man, that stuck with me forever?
What you're asking.
Yeah, that one is a real question. Sorry, some of them have been rhetorical. This is a real one.
Repeat the question.
Yeah, what like a teaching method that is like your favorite or it stuck with you?
Doing it, like doing the
Doing it.
action.
Doing the action.
I was gonna say doing it or repetitiveness.
Okay.
Repetitiveness.
Recommendation.
Okay, so kind of you were able to structure and see which way it went. Yeah. Music. Yeah. Go ahead.
Kind of like what Braden was saying, like trial and error.
Yeah.
I fail, I know what not to do.
So now how do you orchestrate that with your residents? All right, we're going to set aside time to come together to learn this skill. How do you set it up so that they can practice it? It's going to take a little bit of brainstorming and some creativity, but you don't have to do it on your own, right? Like go to ChatGPT and say, I need to teach 10 college-age students how to become more patient. Give me 5 ideas on how to do that. And I want it to be a game. Give me a game that would help them understand patience, right? Literally, like, I mean, like, yeah, and then on purpose, like, you already know, like, I'm an on purpose, I want them to become more comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay, there's all kinds of like, think back to several of you in this room are athletes, right? There are drills and practices, there are weightlifting, there are things that you do that is like, okay, you're gonna hold these weights while you memorize this acronym that I came up for you. And whoever can hold out the longest, right? You turn it into a competition or a game. Like that's what I'm saying is like become creative in either helping get the information to stick or a simulation. There's role playing. You could play an actual game. Like we're gonna play the game of life. And in the game of life, you're gonna get points for, whoever comes out with the most money at the end of the game of life based on their choices. And then you turn it into a conversation, right? But you give a prize because you actually won life. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm encouraging you is that you have a goal, try and make it smart if you can. Try and pick a topic that they're already feeling the pain of. And then find a way that's engaging. And here we had 20-ish minutes. My hope was that by you guys talking to each other, you were already like, it was causing things to fire. And I use humor a lot to try and keep people on their toes and say ridiculous things and see if people are actually paying attention. And then quick feedback. That's the other thing. Like coaching, like you get instant feedback. Not like that, like this. Not like that, like this. It's hard when you're trying to do like these soft skill things, but it's not impossible. Just takes a little bit more creativity. Okay. We're kind of running down towards the end of the time that I had. Let's just open it up to questions, thoughts as the neurons have been firing and you're thinking about, gosh, I got to do this here in a couple of weeks. What questions do you have?
So what do you think we should focus on as far as like our target goal? Like, what is it, career development or professional development? Like, what do you think are like some good topics to keep in mind? Like for that?
So, yeah, let me make sure I'm understanding the question. You are preparing to sit down with your residents and help train them in a way that will help them as professionals. Got it.
Yes. Like career building or like preparing them for the real world, like, I
Okay.
guess like internships, working with people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Planning the future.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to be the one who encourages them or teaches them.
Or even just like encourage like the ideas, like, like we also have to put up like visual aids kind of. Like,
Okay.
works
Got it.
in a way.
Yeah. So then the one key takeaway is make sure you're speaking from a place of experience. If it's hypothetical or theoretical, if that's the cards just all fall apart. Like I've heard if you do this, and that, it's gonna be great. So pull from your own experience. And then the other thought I would have is what's happening right now in their real world that is transferable. So not all of your residents are maybe working a part-time job, but maybe some of them aren't. But they're all learning how to navigate communication, right? So it's like, here's what we're doing now. Here's how this is going to impact you as a professional. And here's my own story of how I had to learn this. Now, then you come into the like, is there a simulation, a role play? Is there, like a specific,
Wait, I can do it, kind of manipulated.
yeah, like I'm like, some of the overlap is, man, I just get angry. If someone says something to me that makes me feel like they are disrespecting me, my first reaction is to be mad. And to say, you are going to face that at the workplace. And the consequences of telling your boss off are pretty strong. So how do we help you navigate that? It happens here in the dorm all the time. Do you just go out screaming at everybody every time you get mad? Right? You know, maybe you do have some students that are like that. Anyhow, did that help?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Yeah.
So you kind of talked about like simulating the role player games. So what does that look like at a college level? Because I feel like if we put them in a circle and do like duck, duck, goose, you know what I mean?
Sure.
You have to be kind of tactical about it. So what are some like emphases for practical ways that looks like?
Gosh, I mean, it's funny because there's some games that are really elementary, but man, we get sucked into them real fast. So I wouldn't automatically discount playground games right out of the gate, but I think it really depends on that goal that you're aiming for. So if it's team building, then I like totally leverage like ChatGPT or Copilot and say, what are 5 really amazing team building games that I could use in 15 minutes? Some of them, anybody part of youth group, like youth group games can be a great, oh, you were in youth group, but youth group games, yeah, were you going to say something or were you just, yeah, but youth group games, right? So like, for example, and I was a youth pastor, and so these things come to mind where it's like, everybody take off one shoe, throw it in the pile. The first person to get both of their shoes back, like you just find that, and then you take that and you go back to like the Karate Kid. You were doing this, but you were actually learning this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does. It's not like a straightforward, easy answer. It's going to take some creativity. Yeah. Other questions? Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. If I had to pick only one and put the top one, that would be like, if you hit this one, it'll hit a number of other things underneath it. Would have to be like a mindset that I'm going into this role without, this is my first job, going into it without experience. But my mindset should be of a person who's been there for a while. Right. So there in theater, it's called no small parts. Anybody familiar with that term, no small parts? This quick idea is that if you've got 20 people on the stage and 19 of them are acting like, and they're in the moment, but you got the one person who doesn't have any lines or anything, and they clearly are not there, they ruin it for everybody. So if you go in with the idea that I have a significant contribution, no matter where I sit in the organization, and I think that'll take you a long ways, because a lot of college students, I don't think, see themselves as valuable contributors because they're not leaning into who God says they are, right? They're not like, oh, I have a divine spark in me. I have something to offer no matter where I sit. Does that make sense? Any other questions? And then probably need to let you guys go. Well, for me, not for Josh.
Oh, let's give Jake. Appreciate it.